So in today's video, I want to share specifically with you about the concept of maxing out. So, this concept really came to me today because yesterday I signed a brand new client for my business, and I've been exerting myself to new stimuluses that, I'm not used to at all. Okay, so I've had this client who flew in, and I've been working the last 2 days. I've only gotten about 5 to 6 hours of sleep, and I've worked over 14-hour days, both days back to back, which isn't too crazy. It's not something that I haven't done before, but just exposing myself to new stimuluses, just like when you go to the gym and you go and lift a heavier weight and you push yourself to really go all out, like every once in a while, especially when you get a little bit too comfortable and life is stagnant and you're not progressing, and you're dissatisfied with the rate of growth that you have in your professional life, your personal life, physical, whatever it is, in any element. There's a great quote, essentially, that in order to achieve and experience new things, you have to be willing to do things that you've never done before in the past. So for me, I've been working on just raising my bar for like what I consider hard, and exposing myself to uncomfortable environments that I wouldn't naturally want to go to. I've been very used to working from home. I've been very used to working remotely, and a lot of my work has been over Zoom, over Google Meets, over the past few years, and I've just been wanting to do a Misogi S type of reversion of my baseline and standard for what I accept as normal. And for you specifically, if you don't understand the concept of misogi, essentially it's a Japanese concept where once you do something that just literally pushes you to the freaking limit, where it adjusts and raises your baseline. So for you specifically, I encourage you, if you're comfortable, if you haven't had a big change recently, and you have a deeper reason at this point in your life to want to push further, do bigger things, go beyond where you're currently at, I strongly encourage you to put yourself into very uncomfortable situations and just empty the gas tank. And when I say that specifically, it's just approaching your life with everything that you have. So that's just been a really big lesson for me as of recently, and that I've really just been applying, because a big core tenet, a big core value of mine is just having a structure, routine, and a cadence. But the caveat with that is, if you don't design a Misogi level, task for you to accomplish, and you don't really design in the, really big events that put you out of your comfort zone, whether that's traveling, to go to a different country, or just book that flight, or just to, buy those clothes, or to start that hobby, or to finally do the thing that you've been putting off for so long. I strongly encourage you to do it, because for me personally, getting out of my comfort zone and getting an office space was something that, I didn't really see the immediate ROI of, but I trusted that that's something that would allow me to, calibrate the way that I view myself. And, it actually became the catalyst and the reason as to why I was able to have a client even fly into Las Vegas, and I had a place to host them. And it ended up being like something that now is a net positive ROI, right? I paid $500 once, or, $600, however much it was. And now I have a $5,000 a month client from it. So it just kind of goes to show you that, going outside of that comfort zone and chasing those things that are in alignment with your gut. I think that growing up in society, a lot of times, the environment around you almost neuters you to a sense, where that there's a right answer to do things. And when you watch content and you watch other people online, they're very opinionated when things aren't really black and white. What I realized as I've kind of gone on more in life is that certain things in life is a little bit more gray. And when you really lean into that gut instinct and into more of the mystical side of life, you won't really immediately have a clear line between, if I do this, I will get, X out, right? It doesn't really work like that. You just have to have that faith that, the Holy Spirit's guiding you in the right direction, and that, like, you have to listen to that gut intention that's really leading you down to see a bigger vision and a bigger purpose for your own life. And so, again, that's really been a big lesson for me as of recently, and just helps me recreate and see myself from a different light. And I think that leaning into that allows you to have creativity. Creativity is what allows you to, see your life from a different lens. And unless you have, a new source of information, whether you're studying somebody new or you're having a new experience in a different area, in a different, place, and doing a different thing that you've never done before, it will allow you to have these cross pollinations across different, endeavors that you have in your life, different hobbies. And, I specifically remember Miyamoto Musashi, the actual, one of the legendary samurai from Japan, ancient Japan. He talks about how the pursuit of many makes you the master of one. And it makes sense because as you pick up these hobbies and you choose different lanes to become more adept at, it actually allows you to focus more deeper into your craft for whatever it is that you allow yourself to want to dedicate your life towards, which is, for me, business. And it's just, there's just so many parallels. Like the other day I was at my friend's house and we were shooting guns. Well, we weren't shooting the gun in his house, but he had like a dry fire pistol, right? And we were running this drill with this thing that he had. And just the the repetition and the small nuances within the movements, and just working through that, I just saw the core parallels between that and my work. So max out. That's the message for today. Find something that gets you out of your comfort zone, and just go and do it. Because for me, I've seen the personal benefits of it, and it's something that I want to install into my rhythm and into my cadence. I believe that's important to design into it. Obviously you don't want to live life with no structure, no routine, and no sense of gravity. But it's like a continuum. You don't want to be too fucking structured to the point where you're like too stiff. Like, you got to be able to loosen up a little bit and create the space for you to be a little bit more fluid and to be able to roll with the punches a little bit more. So I see that that's a dichotomy between the two. When you learn how to detach and you learn how to flow, it allows you to hit a different state than when you're too rigid. But you have to find a balance between the two. And I believe that in business specifically, you need to have a little bit of structure. And you need to have a little bit of flexibility and adaptability. I think that's incredibly important. But more than just that, in life, I think it is incredibly important. So do things that get you uncomfortable, max out, give everything that you got into like a different new experience, and just get out your fucking comfort zone, because that's really going to get you into a new state of mind and start seeing yourself differently.